All right, everyone, this is our introduction to Apache Spark on IBM Cloud session. So, agenda, some key reminders, what not to do, Spark environment usage, how to ask for assistance correctly, uh, then introduction to the Spark environment, elements of notebook, high-level steps of what you need to do, and some troubleshooting, okay? So, uh, first of all, most of you have been doing a great job so far, but when you ask for help, you need to make sure that you tell the steps you took before you got the error and include the screenshot of the error message. So, for example, if you say cannot log in to IBM Cloud, it does not help me reproduce the problem. You need to explicitly say on which step you have a problem and include a screenshot, all right? So also reminder, when you submit the ticket, please do not call the UMGC help desk. They do not know what your problem is. They cannot help you. You need to select virtual lab support case type when you submit cases. If you select incorrect case type, case goes into the wrong queue. Okay. Now, uh, what not to do? Please do not deactivate your IBM Cloud account. If you do so, I'm sorry, there is nothing can be done to undo. By all means, do not enter credit card information. It's not going to give you extra capacity hours. Do not upgrade the account. If you do that, you won't be able to get assistance because I do not have paid account, right? And you might end up incurring cost. Do not contact the IBM, right? You need to submit the Salesforce tickets instead. Please do not post graded code in a discussion, all right? Do not delete object storage. Then do not open the notebook in multiple browsers on browser tab of browser windows because you're going to be consuming the hours twice. Then before you log out, you must stop kernel. You must stop environmental runtime. Another thing is, do yourself a favor. Do not share your work with current, future Data 650 students, okay? Because the Turnitin will catch that they're submitting the same submission, all right? Now, environmental usage. As you may have seen from the video, that you get 10 capacity unit hours per calendar month. Okay? Spark 3.3, Python 3.10 in this case, it consumes 1.5 capacity unit hours per 1 hour. So if I was working perhaps from 8 p.m. to 9 p.m., I will have consumed 1.5 capacity hours. You have 10, which is about 6.6 clock hours, right? So beware that when the notebook is in edit mode, it's consuming the hours, those hours. You need to stop all active runtime before you log out. Because if you don't, it will run until it times out and consume your hours. Remember, closing the browser tab does not stop the environment. You have to physically stop. Okay. I put together the list of important terms that you need to know, such as IBM Cloud and Cloud Pack for Data, which is a sub-platform, right? What's a project, right? So what's a project? It's you're grouping, you getting the data sets and the notebooks together for the same task, right? And in this case, the data set and the notebooks are going to be what projects ask, right? Cloud object storage is a location where the data will be stored, right? The data from the project is stored in cloud object storage bucket, right? So you are creating the what Python notebook. Notebook consists of what? The cells, right? You have different cell types. Markdown cell, which is with a description or table of contents, and the actual code cell, right? So you have a runtime environment, you have credentials that you add, right? And etc. Remember, you have bucket name, you've got Spark session data frame, and then you get the RDD, right? Resilient distributed data set. Remember, RDDs are immutable, right? Then you need to understand the difference between actual and transformation command, some Spark SQL, etc. Okay, so those are the terms. So what are you gonna do? The high-level steps is you're gonna log in to IBM Cloud Pak, which is integrated software platform, right? It's a sub-platform on IBM Cloud. You're gonna use your IBM Cloud credentials to log in. And for the region, most of you will select Dallas. You will create a new project, empty project, right? Where you enter the project name and probably description optional. And for your first project, well, actually, sometimes you need to create object storage, sometimes you do not. Usually it's pre-populated, right? You have to make sure that storage delegation option is turned on. Otherwise, in other words, you are allowing the notebook data to be stored in to be stored in a bucket, right? Of storage bucket. So you're gonna add the data to the project. You're gonna add and run notebook, right? Those are the steps. So you have a project. Well, this is just adding data. You're gonna click on the slide out data panel and just click and load data, right? Should be easy. First step is easy, but then when you add the notebook from the file, you have to select correct runtime environment. If you select wrong environment, you're gonna open the notebook and you're gonna be losing capacity hours. If you do it, you would have to stop the environment, delete the notebook, and redo, right? You would have to add credentials code to load data. You need to set the bucket number. You have to run the notebook. The notebook has graded and ungraded exercises, but I suggest you run it twice. First, you run all the code that's given to you, right? You get the code, you get examples. Then you're gonna stop the kernel, exit out, right? Make sure no environment running. Open the notebook in a view mode to review, right? Then write the code somewhere else, prepare, and edit the notebook when ready to save the hours, right? And this is the correct environment. At the moment, Spark 3.3, Python 3.10 is the latest, but I want you to be aware that anytime, IBM may deploy next version, right? Spark 3.4 is already out there, not on IBM Cloud. So if you submit an assignment late, there is a possibility of upgrade, right? And if there is an upgrade, well, it means that the code that you got may or may not work. The code was tested in Python 3.10, Spark 3.3. It's unclear if what is there will work to 3.4. So if you have an incomplete or if you're submitting the work late, there is a risk. Okay? There is a risk that this version could be deprecated. All right? This version has been here for a couple months maybe. So usually they add next version and maybe they keep both for a couple weeks, maybe. all right? Okay, and the credentials code. I guess I'll go ahead and show you the actual notebook, but I also showed it in a video, right? So when you go to, so this is where the projects are, right? I have a lot of projects since I've been doing this demo for a long time. So I have this project call, and I'm gonna click on it to open the project. So see that? Well, I've got all assets. So I have the Titanic notebook because I was testing it for the next assignment, right? And I've got the employee attrition analysis notebook. But so what I did, I went to this data panel, I uploaded the data. Then you have to click on this here, new asset, and you're gonna select this thing, right? And then you're gonna select the Jupyter notebook, all right? So be aware that the changes are ongoing. A couple days ago, when I was making new recording, these options, new local file URL, were across the top. Now they appear as a side panel, but it's close enough, right? So for the notebook in general, you can create brand new from scratch. You can upload the file that is given to you, or you can get it from URL, or you may also get the sample notebook. There's a gallery of sample notebooks. By all means, there is no way to write the Java code to generate the notebook for you, okay? Now, you're gonna do local file, then you're going to select the correct environment, right? So this is the correct environment. You're going to select the file. In my case, I saved it on a desktop for today's demo here, right? But because I already have the file with the same name, I'm just gonna call it like this, okay? Now, I need to be extra careful, very, very careful. So first of all, this is the right environment, right? It takes 1.5 capacity units per actual hour. So I'm gonna hit create, but as soon as I do it, what's gonna happen in my environment? It will start, right? It will start, I'm gonna hit create, and it will start the environment. The notebook will be open in edit mode, okay? Now here it is, it's starting. See this? Instantiating runtime. It means it's starting the environment, okay? See, it's gonna take a little bit of time, but okay, almost there. So if you take a look here, you have different types of cells, right? So what I'm talking about, this cell here, this is not an executable code. It has the heading, right? Learn the basics about Apache notebook and the table of contents, right? If I double click here, see it? So here, this is the level 1 heading, level 2 headings, and next session, I'm gonna tell you more about table of the contents, right? See this little dash? It means it specifies the bullet point type. That's here is an anchor in a document, all right? Like if I click here, see this? This is the anchor here, Apache Spark, and here is Apache Spark, okay? But to convert the cell back to Markdown, you just run it, right? All right? So here it is. But what you need to do is, well, you have to add the credentials and read the file. You add credentials only once. Do you see where it says load data here? Right? I placed the cursor, but what you need to do is you have to add the code snippet. You click on code snippets, right? And then here You see this? It says read data. You're gonna click here on read data. Oops. Select data from project. Now, see this? This is, you go to the data assets. Okay? Well, in general, it could be possible to read data from another source. In this case, we are reading the file that was uploaded from PC. Okay? Now, I'm going to click on select. What is this going to do? You see that? So you want to load this as what? Spark session data frame. If you do not see Spark session data frame, you may have selected Python environment without Spark. So you have to see this, right? Now, remember the cursor has to be in the cell. I'm going to click on insert code to cell. All right? So if you notice that here, it added as the df data 2, but everywhere else in the code, this is referred to df data 1. So what is easier? Change it in two places here or go back and edit all code? I think here, right? You change only in two places. Now, here the problem is when you upload the data, you want to make sure that the data types are read correctly, right? For schema. So this is the option you need to use. Option in for schema set to true because, for example, H column, it's a numeric. You want to make sure that it is read as numeric. If you start analyzing the age values, and if you see that average is greater than maximum, something is wrong, right? If you omit this line, you're going to be looking at the average ASCII value of an age, not the average age, okay? So that line is important, right? And see, when you run it, asterisk means the cell execution is in progress. When it's done, you're going to see a 1, right? So, important thing is you're not going to do this. I go here, I run this, I scroll all the way down, run this. No, you have to run the whole notebook in order, right? You start from the top and you run all cells, okay? So is it clear? Hopefully it's clear, right? So this is code, this is a credential code and the code to read data, right? So that was the code that I was talking about. So suppose that you made an error somewhere and you made a correction. What you need to do is you go here, kernel, and you're gonna go say restart and clear output. That will clear all output and you'll run the notebook all over. You want to turn in the clean run, right? At a couple places you might see the warning, but that's fine because warning is not an error, but it's saying that some functions that are used here might be deprecated in future Spark version. Okay. So, but then see, you got the exercises, but usually it's this way. For example, in an example gives you statistics for one column. An exercise, you're asked to write statistics for the different columns. All right. So now, if you want to just study the code, you do this: stop kernel, shut down, right? You want to shut down. You want to go back to a project. I want to say leave. And I like to unlock my notebook. Now, also, well, since I'm very concerned of my hours, I'm going to go to environmental runtime and I'm going to check I'm good, right? So I just check to make sure that I don't have anything running. If I have something running, it will show here. Okay, and you can stop from here. Now I'm gonna go back to project. So I can go here, view all project, and go to this project. Okay, so now if I want to just study the code, I'm gonna do this. I click here, I'm gonna select view. Okay, does doing this consume hours? No, because I'm not starting kernel, I'm just opening in a view mode, right? So another thing here to remember is, do you remember the SQL? So SQL has what? Select clause, where you specify what you want to select. You have a from clause, where you specify the view name or the table name, right? So that's a source. From where are you selecting the data from? You have a where clause. Where clause restrict the row. Group by does aggregation. For example, I want to know the number of people per department, something like that. So then you're going to have department name in a select clause, and you're going to have the department name in a group by clause. So I'll tell you this, 99% you'll be correct. Every non-aggregated column in select clause must appear in group by clause. So see this, the department is not aggregated, right? It must appear in group by. If you're asked to group perhaps salary level within each department, then you're going to have two grouping columns, which will appear in select clause and in the group by clause, okay? Then you specify for the sorting, but here the problem is sorting is case sensitive. So what you want to do for the sorting purposes, you may convert the values to the uppercase. Upper here, right? It's not going to update the data, but it is going to update for it is going to compare in the uppercase, right? Because sometimes the department is spelled in a lower case, sometimes it is spelled in a mixed case, sometimes it is spelled in an uppercase, right? So if it's HR lowercase and HR capitalized is the same, all right? So that's important here. I showed you this. I showed you where to how to stop the kernel, right? How to restart the kernel. And see here, this is another way to check the environment. Well, right now I stopped, right? But in here, see this, when I click on I see the environment that was used to execute this notebook, okay? And remember, if you selected wrong environment, you would have to go here. Oops, you have to go back to your project, right? I'm in a project right now. You would have to unlock the notebook. Then you would have to select delete from here. Then you would have to go back to what? To environmental runtime to make sure that you don't have anything executing, okay? You want to make sure that you don't have anything here. Then you're gonna import the notebook again and select correct environment, okay? Sometimes it happens. But even when you delete the notebook, it still does not stop the kernel, okay? So what you have to do is you have to make sure that you shut down the environment physically, okay? I recommend doing this work at the time when you're less likely to be bothered, because the friend calls you, and while you're on the phone, you could be consuming the hours. See? So be extra careful, but trust me, if you're doing what you're told to do, you should not be using more than 1 hour for this assignment and remaining 9 hours for the next one. For assignment 3, it's going to be new month. So you will get 10 hours at the beginning of next month, okay? Unused hours cannot be moved to the next month, right? So you have to use them, but you have to use them without running out, okay? So you need to be careful. You have to plan accordingly, you know? So because I have people who did not stop the environment, then they could not finish the assignment until next month. They got behind. So that's one reason some people don't do as well in this course, because they don't follow the instruction or the runtime environment. They don't stop the kernel. They do run out of hours. And well, we cannot add hours. They have to wait until next month. Okay? But the work is piling up very quickly. This course is quick. So please make sure to follow the instructions for this part. Okay? Then there is a page called Watson Gallery, and there are some sample notebooks for you that you might want to look at probably after the course end, or you can look at some of them in the view mode, so that you don't consume the hours. Okay. So we've got that covered. Oh, another thing is that you have to submit 2 files. First file is an HTML or PDF with all your output, right? The code and output. You must show that you are adding the credentials. You add the credentials where you're instructed to. You do all code must be run and get correct result, except for the bonus exercises. The graded exercises must have correct results. For the bonus, right, for the ungraded exercises, they should be attempted. Remember the discussion from last time? If something is not graded, it does not mean that it's optional. It does not mean that you don't have to do it. You still have to do it, but even though you might not get a grade for this time, next assignment will have something similar. You know what I'm saying? Something similar, but on different data. Okay? Then you have a quiz. It's a second part, right? Do not confuse with auto-graded quiz, because see, in this quiz, there are some short answer questions, and auto-graded quiz does not work well for the short answer. Okay? So, but also some questions on a quiz call for selecting 2 answers or 3 answers. Please follow those instructions, okay? Most of the questions have 1 answer. If it does not say, it's 1 answer. If it says to select 3 or to select 2, please do select 2 or 3, right? Because see, if you do this wrong, you will be returned. Okay? So it's very important for this assignment. You must follow the instruction, and so is for the next assignment. Okay? So now I'm open to your questions. Any questions? Please ask me questions, because you will be doing it, and I don't want you to be stuck, right? So far, no tickets for this assignment. So should I assume that yes, go ahead.
I was going to say, I had one on, and you had it on the screen. There was a sample. This is kind of like an SQL question. There was a sample where it had making two different tables.
Yes.
I have it here.
Okay, so I'm gonna open the file in view mode. Remember?
Yeah.
Not yes, but view. Okay. So I'm
Yeah.
gonna,
Yeah, it was all the way down by the SQL. It was where you were appending attrition 0 and attrition 1 to a row. That's something I hadn't seen in SQL before. Is that like specific to Spark or is that
yes,
okay?
yes, yes. And see this, you have to look through the rows and the result. Yes. See this, for row is, so here, this is what the result said, right? So let's execute the SQL and fetches the result set in here. To print the result, you have to iterate through it and print a row at a time. So this is for a row. In this one here,
Yeah.
yes, you do the print the whole row. So you are outputting one row at a time. I hope it helps. Does it?
Okay. And then below, I guess that's making like an array out of it or
This is different. Here, this is for the visualization. This is to visualize. See this? It's gonna
okay.
take, yes, the requirements. It's gonna take the number of employees, and it's just gonna build the visualization.
Okay.
This is plot. This is my plot. This is a
Okay.
plot. Okay?
Okay. Got it. Okay. Yeah. That's okay. Thank you.
Sure. Because you're not asked to do the plot in exercises, but you're asked to do the SQL. But once you get this exercise, take a look at it. So you're grouping by what salary level, right? So once you get this, to get that, you just add the department name to select clause and group by clause. You're done. Here, you're also gonna add the addition to select and group by. You're done. This is a little bit tricky, okay? So how do you know number of people who left, right? So, well, you have to take the sum, because if you take a look at this, right, this column, attrition, is equal 1 when person left the workspace. So to find out how many people left, you're gonna take the sum on this column, okay? You're gonna take the sum of this column. It's gonna tell you how many people left, right? So how do I know how many people stayed? Well, one way to do it is a total number of people minus number of people left, right? So that's one way. The query does not call for subqueries. You do not need the subquery, okay? So you might do this, you might just do the sum on this column, or you might also use case statements. But this, something like this, will reappear later. Not in assignment 2, but you will see this in sentiment analysis tutorial and assignment 3. You're going to see the query of this type. So this is just to practice. And later, when we have our next session, please remind me to give you the answers for ungraded exercises. Then, if you're stuck with ungraded exercise, you can open a ticket and I will help you, okay? I'm not gonna write the code for you, but if you really need to help with understanding, etc., I will help you. But please do not spend a lot of hours on this. If it's wrong, then, well, it's wrong. You're gonna get the solution and study it, okay? Do not burn hours on ungraded exercises. The first two should be simple if you got the last grade correct, right? Last graded correctly, okay? If you got this one, you should be able to do the first two, okay? Right? And remember, you have to get full credit, you must run the whole notebook, and it must return the output and correct output, right? Like, for example, there is a part where it's looking at descriptive statistics for an age. If you see that the minimum is greater than maximum, it means that you're not reading the data correctly. Okay? So you want to kind of like check yourself. Okay? Questions?
Elena, can you go back to ungraded exercise 1, please?
Yes. Ungraded. Okay, yes.
So for column 1, you want to see all the department names. Column 2 should be salary level. And column 3, it says number of retained employee who work for the department in column 1. So if HR has 3 people, you want to see number 3 there.
Well,
But then you have salary level in column 2.
right. So,
So
for example, if the department has 5 people and 3 people have high salary, then it's going to show the department name, it's going to show high, and it's going to show 3.
I'm sorry, you were breaking up when you were explaining.
I'm trying.
So if HR has 3 people and 2 people have high, let's say high level, then do you want to see in column 3, 2 in high level and 1 in low level?
No,
Okay.
there's going to be a separate row for each salary level. Okay, department, HR, right? Department name, HR, salary, 5, number of people, 2. Second row, department, HR, salary level, medium, number of people, 1.
Okay, got it. Okay, gotcha. Thank you.
Sorry for confusion. It's hard to, I should provide examples maybe, right?
That'll be helpful, but yeah, your explanation is clear now. Okay, thank you. Appreciate it.
Sure. I hope it helped. Anything else? Well, no, it's your time for questions. Next session will be longer. Okay, something in the chat. Oh, I answered the main question during the demo. Okay, good, good. Okay, well, I'm trying to, but Professor Azam, anything you want to say?
One more. In order to submit the work, you would download your current, I guess, notebook from here.
You
Is
need,
that how?
yeah. Oh, okay. So what you need to do is you must have the notebook in edit mode, right? Edit mode. I clicked on the pencil because I was in a view mode.
Okay.
So I'm going to search all my outputs here, right? Assume I have them. You go here, file, download as HTML, right? You
Okay.
download HTML. It will be saved to wherever your download folder is, right? You're gonna open it. Open this file in a browser. Then you can submit as HTML, or what I would do is this. I'm going to print it. Control this, print, and you can select a PDF, save it as PDF, and submit as PDF. I like it better. I like PDF better. Okay?
Okay. Okay, great. Thank you.
Sure. Of course, there are going to be more pages, right? Okay, so now, what did I just do? I went to what edit mode. So, very important. I need to stop the kernel. I need to shut this down. And what else do I need to do? I'm going to exit this. And what else do I need to do? Remember, very important. Environmental runtime. And need to make sure nothing here. Nothing here. So this shows as I'm working on assignment, this counter is going to go up. Nothing capacity unit counter is going up, okay? This is hours remaining, but the counter itself is going to be going up, okay? Now, you could also see this. If I go to projects, I need to show you something. So, but don't get fooled by this. Okay, I go to project, I go to manage inside the project, and there is also time that I use inside the project. Somewhere I have seen it that, okay, so somewhere I have seen shows the time that you use inside the project. See this? I use 0.5 in this project. Some people might say, wait a minute, I get 10 per month. Maybe I can create new project to get 10 more. No, it's 10 total. So you won't be able to walk around like this, okay? You cannot create a new project to start count all over. No, it just breaks down what you have used in this specific project. But it's total 10 per month. So September has 30 days. Very late in the evening on September 30th, you're going to be credited again. You're going to have 10 hours. But suppose that you use only 8 hours this month, 2 unused hours, you cannot forward to the next month. So you cannot borrow hours from next month. You cannot forward the hours. Like this, the month starts, you have 10. Right? You run out, you cannot do the work this month anymore. That's it, it's like this. So some people were not careful, but basically, if you do it right, you should not consume more than 1 hour for this assignment, okay? Then assignment 2 is going to have several parts. Part 1 does not consume more than an hour either. So you will see it, okay? Don't worry about it yet, but do this first, and it's intentional. You will not see assignment 2 until you submit this assignment. It's conditional visibility, okay? So you need to submit this assignment first. Then you're going to see, you're going to get access to assignment 2. Okay? Make sense? Well, the reason is if you make 2 assignments available, some people will say, assignment 2 is more points than Spark tutorial. I'm going to jump on it because it's more points. But then you don't know what to do, right? Because Spark tutorial teaches you what to do. So that's one reason. Okay? Any other question or anything that Professor Azan wants to add? Professor Azan, if you're still here, well, okay. Anyone else? I would like guys to see questions. Next session will be longer, okay? It's gonna be in 2 weeks, so you will have more information when we get closer, okay? Any other questions? Please, folks, I like questions. So quiz, you're gonna watch out, right? Oh, most welcome. But for quiz, watch out. If it says to select 2 answers, you're gonna select 2 answer choices, right? Instead of saying choose all that apply, it tells you how many to select. So it makes it easier for you. Okay? Anything else, guys? Going once, going twice? Well, if there are no questions, then I wish you good luck, and you know where to. Oops, chicken. Okay, you know where to find me, right? Okay. So then I'm gonna end the recording, and we're gonna call it a night. It was quick today. Next session is gonna be long, I promise. Okay. All right. So I'm gonna stop recording. Stop.